Nintendo Cartridge Society presents NCS Classic Edition Metroid Other M Part 5. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell.
Hey Patrick, how's it going?
Good, Mark. How are you?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah, that's great. We've been playing Other M, and we just want to make sure you're not like listening to these things out of order or like getting ahead of yourself. We just beat Vorath. Vorash, who is the lava whale boss in Sector 3. So that's fresh in our heads, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? Talk about that boss fight?
Yeah.
Okay. So my first impression of Vorash, first of all, love the name.
Great name.
I think we could make a lot of Borat jokes if we wanted to. We don't have to, but like that option is there for us. But so he visually reminds me. My lava.
Like something like that?
Yeah, I like that. Vorash, very nice. Because the name sounds like Borat. Are you following me on this?
I mean, it's a complex road, but I am making my way slowly.
Right. We've been doing this together for a long enough time now that I think we...
Like Samus, it takes a long time for words that another person says to process, and then for me to have a reaction to it.
Let's stay on Vorash for right now.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. No, you're right.
So he looked an awful lot, to me, looked an awful lot like one of the mini bosses in Super Metroid, which maybe his name is also Vorash, who knows, is a like large red, almost frog-like creature with just like rows and rows of eyes like Vorash has. And you have to just like knock it back. It doesn't have any health. Like there's no way to just kill it. You can only knock it back into the lava. And when it does, all of its flesh like melts off. And like the skeleton keeps popping up. It's a cool moment in Super Metroid.
That does sound really cool.
I don't how did you like Vorash? Like as an imposing presence, as a inhabitant of the incinerator.
I think it's my favorite. I'm trying to think, but I think it's my favorite like boss that we've encountered.
Yeah, it is also one that I've felt like I've understood the most.
Yeah,
as we were fighting it, because a lot of them I'm like, I don't know, Mark, what does the guide say? But in this, it's like, oh yeah, I feel like even when I'm just hitting him with like charge blasts and he's like flying through the air, that I'm dealing damage. We noticed a life bar. Maybe there have been life bars on other bosses.
Well, this one, the tree or the spider ant, and the big like tractor thing that we also fought
that we fought
this chunk. Those are the most like, they seem the most clear to me, just like boss fights in general. Like Vorash, you had the like glowing sacks basically on its body, right, which is a clear video game indicator, like, oh, I need to bust up those sacks. And you had just gotten the grapple beam, and there was the grapple drone in its mouth, right? So like all of that made sense.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought it just had like a glowing green tongue.
No, because remember when you were the Metroid ball and you were like blowing him up and dropping the drones,
right?
And he swallowed one. And then like Spider Ant, had again just like a glowing thing on the bottom or top, depending on its form. And
this is a big problem that they need to breed out of bioweapons. Like a vulnerable sack, fine, stop that thing from glowing.
Well,
whatever you can do to stop it from glowing.
Well, maybe that's what Dr. Madeline Bergman was working on.
Is it time for us to move on to the story elements here, or do we have more to say about Vorash?
I don't have anything else to say about Vorash.
I just wanted to add that I liked fighting him. That it was fun to do. And I like that his name is Vorash.
The other thing that was kind of cool about Vorash, which we didn't do because you didn't need to. Like
We've spoken this character's name more than any other character's name. Sorry.
No. You're right. I think it's the one that we, for some reason, feel the most confident in pronouncing.
Yeah, maybe that's right.
So we're like,
because otherwise it's like Anthony.
enemies.
Okay,
Enemies. But it seems like there were at least like I don't even know if multiple strategies, but there was at least more you could do because
yes,
you could have used one of the grapple beams to go to the other island and attack him from the other side, and you ended up you never did that, which was like fine. You never had to.
To me
that it was a possibility, and anytime there's some sort of like possibility in this game, it's kind of like
you can make a choice.
It's kind of a breath of fresh air. I mean, you said something while we were playing that I thought really summed it up, where it's just like this game is programmed for giving up.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. That there are a number of places in the game, and one in particular that we'll talk about, where it makes you explore an area and decide that you don't have enough information or enough stuff to do anything about it, and then you leave, and then you just magically get it. So like you have to give up on something, and it's not like you're searching for another like choice or another option. You have to examine it and give up, and then the game is like, oh, here you go. And it's during this well, how does it start? It's the
so you're in sector 2, which is the ice and snow level, and you use the I was gonna call it the Allspark.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot. Let's just call it the Allspark.
Okay, the Allspark, where you can, instead of using your speed boost to jump forward,
you can
jump straight up, and then you turn into a morph ball. And
right, you traverse all these platforms to kind of like get over a ski slope area. And then there's a switch that you need to shoot, but you can't do it because there's glass in the way.
Yeah.
And so you can, like we did, try to figure out a solution to this, or what you're supposed to do is give up on it.
Yeah, and so it's frustrating when you realize that that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because in most video games, the reason why a lot of video games are fun is you see something like that and you're like, oh, this is a puzzle that needs to be solved.
Right.
I need to figure out what I missed. I need to go back and examine things closer. And this game is like, no, you idiot.
No, you need to fail at it. And then the man will tell you what tool to use.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happens. You leave the area, and then you get caught in a this is a room that you've been in before. Suddenly glass walls go up, and there are bad guys on the other side of the glass walls. And then he's like, oh, hey, use your wave beam. That's okay. And it's very... I don't like... It seems like the opposite of... like an engaging challenge where the game is just like, no, just fail, and then I'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think it really sums up the game design.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so there's another moment here where we're introduced to a new like kind of bigger enemy, which may be the evolved form of the Choka Pikachu that we have seen earlier. There's no confirmation on that. This is just me guessing. And Mark is staying silent about it.
I mean, do you want me to tell you?
No, I don't want you to tell me.
Wait, are we talking about the Power Ranger?
Yeah, the
villain?
Power Ranger villain. Yeah.
Okay.
Where it's holding Anthony.
Yes.
And what you have to do is you have to grapple over there, and save him. Now, you've not used the grapple beam to this point. You don't have it to this point, or at least not.
You're not authorized to use it.
Right. Daddy didn't say you could do it. But you can target the grapple drone thing. But if you don't do that, the monster kills Anthony, and that's game over for you. For the first time ever, you get a fail state that doesn't involve your death. But like, that's another thing where it's like, well, you didn't tell me like the rules to this. Like, I had to look at a thing I've never looked at before, so that I can be told to use an item that we've never had before.
Or I have to look at a thing because the drone, like super missile doors, the grapple drones have like shown up before, like in the lava level. But you're right. Like anytime you would look at it before, it would tell you you couldn't use it.
Right.
So then it's dumb for the game to be like, well, why didn't you look at the thing that we told you not to use before?
Game over. You just look at the thing, because there are so many things you can look at in the game that don't do anything. And then if it just decides at one point, like, no, one of these terminals is now super important, and you'll die if you don't look at it.
We still don't have super missiles.
No.
Or, I mean, we have them, but we're still not authorized to use them.
Man, I can't wait until Daddy gives us permission to use.
Well,
super
especially
missiles.
with the threat of the deleter.
The deleter. So, Mark, who's the deleter?
Great question.
No, I mean, what? Better question. Who's Mark?
No, in the game. So Samus finds out that somebody from the Federation is killing others.
Federation
Like, like there to like sabotage the mission. So that way nobody finds out about the bioweapons.
And the way that we get this information is that Dr. Madeline Bergstrom,
Dr. Madeline Bergman. Bergman.
Sorry, Dr. Madeline Bergman. She says something while you're like chasing her through the shipping container thing, where she's like, "Oh, how can I trust you Federation guys when you kill each other?"
Right. Well, because Maurice is dead, by the way.
Oh yeah, Maurice is dead.
Yeah.
So long, Maurice.
We find him in the snow.
Right.
And we're like, huh. And then we look in the window in the most pointless pixel hunting yet. Because there's like, okay, so you walk up onto this cliff, the game takes away control, and you just watch a cutscene of Samus like noticing Maurice's corpse. And then the game shows you Dr. Bergman standing in the window. And then it turns into then it like gives you back control, but in the pixel hunt form, so that way you can so you can point the
and you're not even shooting at her or anything.
No,
you're just finding her.
You just like, but it's not even like finding. It's just like point at the window that you just saw something in,
right?
And then a cutscene continues again. But yeah, and so I don't even
That's
know.
good engaging gameplay right there.
Anyways, Maurice is dead.
Right.
And then later
Dr. Madeline Bergstrom.
Bergman.
I can't why do I keep wanting to do Bergstrom? Dr. Madeline Bergmanstrom is
Bergman.
She, I don't know, I guess tells you what she saw. One Federation guy gunning down another one, and we like cut to it.
Right.
So like in the moment I said, how are we seeing this?
Yeah, well, because as a visual storytelling, it does make sense because we're seeing it from Madeline's perspective now, which we've never done before. Everything has been through Samus's recollection or perspective. And they did it to give us the information that, again, one of the Federation recruits is shooting or shot somebody else.
Right, Maurice.
Yeah, is like trying to
like
keep everything. Trying to keep everything a secret. And we don't know. And she's like, because I don't know who it is, I decided to name it the Deleter. And so that's why
we're calling it the Deleter. Is that the worst name for a killer? The worst like code name for? It's really bad.
I mean, it's really bad.
The Deleter.
It sounds like a
like a reboot villain.
Yeah.
From the TV show Reboot.
Yeah.
Where everyone is a computer game or something.
Yeah.
How does that game work? Or that show
Everyone's like alive in the internet or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Or yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Okay, so as you are chasing after Dr. Madeline Bergman, you're chasing her through these shipping containers, and then you yourself are attacked by a Federation guy recruit, and he's in a very End of Aliens robo forklift kind of thing, and you have to fight that.
But it transforms. It has lots of different components and
Oh
parts.
yeah. So I like that this thing is it's equipped to pick up shipping containers, but also like really shred stuff at its feet.
Yeah.
Like its feet are buzzsaws for some reason. And that's a pretty straightforward fight. Again, it felt like flexible and engaging, like we could fight it kind of however we wanted to. But then you beat it, and then Mark asked me, "Hey, was it implied here that the guy inside the Marine got away or escaped?" And to my recollection, no.
Yeah, to my recollection, there's no like cutscene that shows that.
And not to say that there is no cutscene, because there is a cutscene, but there's no cutscene
that shows that
this.
Specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we have to assume that the deleter got away.
Well, and I guess to be fair, we don't see the moment immediately after this, because this is the part in the storytelling where Samus does the thing where she's like, "Then Dr. Bergman explained to me that blah blah blah, and
Right.
I told her that blah 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 blah." And again, I was forced to ask, why didn't we see that scene? Like, why?
Also, Dr. Bergman and Samus look identical, and I don't think they're supposed to. I think that's like, I don't like, because your initial instinct, mine certainly, is like, oh, is it like cloning involved? Like, what's going on?
Right.
Why is Samus not freaked out that Dr. Bergman looks exactly?
Well, and the answer is that Dr. Bergman is just another white lady, right? Just another white blonde lady?
Yeah, but they look they have different haircuts. That's it. It's like a Parent Trap type situation.
In what way? Who do you think they're trying to get back together?
Clearly the deleter and the corpse that he drops in the lava?
Yeah, I think that's right. Obviously, there's some friction between the two of them. All right. So, as long as we're on storytelling, let's stay on that. So we get this little moment after Samus rescues Anthony from what I can only assume is the evolved Choco Pico Chew. And then they have a conversation about Samus's relationship to Adam, right?
Right.
And I think the relationship between Adam and Samus is supposed to be like the backbone of this thing that like holds it all together, or that gives stakes for her and for him. Like, I think it's supposed to be narratively what this whole game is about. Mark, what happened in this flashback?
Okay, so the specifics of it, like the why of it's happening, I couldn't tell you, but Adam gives the orders to like leave this guy named Ian behind.
Right.
And like there's like an explosion on another ship, and
it seems like that they're maybe like extracting
like survivors or
something.
They're trying to get survivors.
It's so many steps removed from clear what's happening.
Well, and everybody's shouting like Adam standing around looking like he's a Sea Org captain.
Oh yeah, we're assuming that this takes place in a Mormon future,
Scientology future.
Right. So a Scientology, yes. Yeah. I apologize.
And so everyone's like shouting about like Ian, and then and they're like, we can't just leave Ian in there, and he's like, we have to leave Ian, and everyone's like, no, not Ian, and we're like, who's Ian? Like, we've never heard this person before, and then finally Samus is like, you can't, Adam. Ian is your brother. And we're like, oh. But still, what's happening? And anyways, I guess Samus comes to the realization that making a big deal about that and being like, no, we have to go back. Like, I'll go back and save Ian, and making Adam be like, no, you can't. It's a direct order. She realizes that was a mistake because it made things more like an already difficult decision more difficult for Adam.
But it seems like Adam is completely stoic the whole time anyway. Like, I think probably making the decision, the military decision to leave your brother to die is probably not going to be made more difficult by someone saying, no, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably already a terrible decision to make. And he's just like, well, I'm committed to it. And then Samus like makes kind of a fuss about it, but she doesn't like actively try to stop him or anything. She follows the order. I don't know.
Well, and then what this has to do with the broader context, my only guess is that so Anthony's like, "Oof, sorry I brought that up." But makes you think, huh? And or
What
like
if
something like that.
Yeah, he says like, what if that were to happen now?
Right. So I'm guessing like maybe does Anthony know that Maurice is dead?
I don't know.
Because again, Adam has seen all of this. So don't you think
Yes.
he'd be like, "Hey, all hands on deck."
Stop reminiscing.
Yeah. Like Maurice, like as soon as Samus is like, "Oh, here's Maurice. I'm looking at him, so Adam can see him too." Don't you think Adam would be like, "Wait a second. Hey, Samus, like use your super missile, like use whatever you need. Something's obviously wrong."
Well, so the one thing that this does do, if it accomplishes anything, is that it hammers home the idea that Samus wouldn't, or like is conditioned to not betray Adam's orders. So like it does lend a little like thematic credence to her having all of her powers and just not being granted permission to use them. Right?
Right, and I think it's also supposed to plant in our mind the idea that like, oh, maybe Adam is the double agent because he was willing to sacrifice people he loved before. So maybe even though we think we're like friends or have some sort of chemistry with him, that doesn't mean that he wouldn't, you know, like if it was the quote unquote right thing to do, that doesn't mean that he wouldn't kill us all.
Right, and I think the game is really pointing us towards Adam as the mole. And I think I said as much a couple episodes back, but now it seems too obvious.
But also, this game is not one for subtlety.
No, that's true. If the most obvious thing turns out to be true, I would not be like extra disappointed. I think I would be the same level of disappointed I've been in the storytelling from top to bottom.
So one thing I asked while you were playing is, do you think, and maybe we had touched on this before, but do you think this game would be more fun with only like no combat generally? Maybe, you know, you have all your powers and it's just exploration, and then occasionally you fight Vorash or like the Spider Ent or something like that, and then that's like all the combat. The rest of it is just like platforming and getting around, because like the morph ball stuff has all been pretty fun.
Yeah, we had a couple fun morph ball sections in this last playthrough. Yeah, if just like the piddly little enemies in random hallways weren't there, I think the game would be better. You know, I don't need to blow up another ice hive or whatever to stop ice wasps from swarming around me. Like it doesn't add anything to the game. And it just sort of like slows down the sections. And maybe that's actually why they're there, is that it like lengthens the game and, you know, means your traversal from one area to the next is still like fraught with some sort of pointless danger.
Because I can imagine a version of this game where, yeah, you take out all of the just like garbage enemies,
right?
You know, that are just like minor annoyances when you're
just little spiky guys in the
ground.
when
you're just like trying to, you just take all of those out, and instead you focus the energy on creating more levels, like where we talked about where you like kind of like ski down a slope.
Yeah, the wipeout portion.
And it's not like this is wipeout. And it's not like it's an amazing, like mind-blowing gameplay experience, but it's not something that we've really seen in the game so far. And it's like, you know, enough of those small experiences, you know, I don't know if the game would be great, but I think it would be more fun.
Yeah, it seems like if there's a part of this game like that we could isolate as the fat of the game, it is the hallways that you're running down where it's just the same enemies over and over again. Like for sure that could be cut and the game would be improved. What other
Spark jump? Spark jump. Is the all spark called Spark jump?
No, I feel like it's glide spark or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, and it's all spark, Mark. That's what we're landing on. We're gonna call it by the name of the thing in Transformers. What else happened in this little run through or this little portion of the game? When we started, we weren't totally clear on what our objective was in the game, and the kind of previously on thing didn't r- really direct us either. I was kind of just following the waypoint on the map, which I guess is okay.
The map seems like it would be helpful in a 2D game, but in a 3D game, it doesn't seem very
No,
useful.
it's counterintuitive in a 3D game.
And there's no real, like, you don't really have a sense of where you are or that everything's connected.
No,
which which just seems silly since it's a space station.
Yeah, that there should be like but like, I mean, part of the reason that it messes with your head is that like you walk into a room and it looks like you're on the side of like a snowy cliff or something, and you know you're not, or you're in a endless lava sea with a volcano in the middle of it. Oh, did you want to talk about the weird little bit of backtracking when you enter Sector 3? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, you have to you like are at the base of the volcano again. You make your way up, and then you get back into that control room that has the
Oh yeah, I had a hard time thinking of what it was called. The first
like
thing we were
manta
talking about
ray type thing.
Sure, trilobite.
Yeah,
It's like a trilobite. Yes.
yeah. And then you fight that again, and then another door opens.
But you just use the terminal to do that.
Yeah, but then you just like backtrack.
Yeah, and it shows you that door opening. So like, yeah, you had to go somewhere and like push a button. I don't know. Are we being too like finicky about this complaint? It seems really dumb to me that like you go to you see the door, you see the door is locked, then you go the only way you can go for a while, find a button, push the button, the door opens, you walk back to the door.
I think I would be fine with it more if if we hadn't already been to this room twice, I think already.
Yeah,
So this is like the third time we're doing it. So it seems like, okay, by the third time, how about you open up an alternate way after I use the terminal to get back to that door?
Yeah, that would be cool.
I also think the game is just generally annoying. And so these things that wouldn't necessarily bother us in a more enjoyable game are like amplified.
Right. So yeah, because I guess like as you're like traversing the bridge back to and from the volcano, you've got to get like enough running speed and like clear the portions of the bridge that have been swallowed by lava or something. And that's not that doesn't always happen automatically. There are like those pointless enemies that we were talking about before. So like yeah, it's just the normal annoyances of the game getting in the way that make that kind of backtracking feel bad instead of you don't feel like you're discovering anything.
All right, let's say one nice thing about it each.
Each?
Yeah. I'm going to go first because we might have the same one and I don't want to think of another nice thing, so I'm going to steal it.
Fine.
There's again those nice camera moments, very rare, but occasionally, where it seems to most often be when you're in a morph ball. Like there's one part where you're in a morph ball and you're gliding along at what seems like the edge of on like the side of the space station.
Yeah.
And so the camera kind of dynamically pulls out to give you just a little bit of context.
I wish it would do more.
Yeah, I wish it would have like done it more, like because all you're doing is holding one direction to go in a straight line. So it's not like you need the camera to be fixed behind you for like context or anything.
Right.
So I wish it would have kept like pulling further and further out so that way you get a more
cool to get a bigger sense of like just how massive this thing is.
Yeah. We were saying it was very like it would be very like God of War.
Yeah.
And this game isn't that smart.
No, it's not a God of War. So I think I actually have two things that I want to mention that I like.
Whoa.
Yeah, believe it. So the portions where you are in the morph ball and you're like rolling around in these grates, and some of them are electrified, and you have to like drop down into like little vents and then pop back out. I thought that was neat gameplay. Again, I think all of the morph ball stuff in this works and is like a good implementation of the morph ball in like an action context and even in like a Metroid context. Like it all just feels right. But I also liked the fight with what I assume to be the evolved monster. I had not the grapple one. When you're in like the moving platform with it, I thought that was cool. And even just that whole, like, I kind of grumbled about it while I was doing it, but that platform section where you have to like freeze some of the things in place so that they won't immediately collapse when you land on them. I thought that was cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think overall, well, I still think all of the storytelling in this game is like super dumb. I didn't have a bad time playing just now. Like I had fun.
Yeah, I really think these, like, for lack of a better term, like exploration and like platforming sections
Mm-hmm.
are by far the best parts of the game.
Yeah, and I think they're getting better the deeper into the game we go. So, I mean, that makes sense. But, yeah, I think I might.
Not really more challenging though.
No. Yeah. So that's good. That's a good point. I don't know what to attribute it to. All right. I think that'll do it for our conversation of this chunk. And stick around. We'll tell you how far to play for next time. Okay, this time it's easy. You just got to get to Sector 0.
Just get to Sector 0.
And then join us for the penultimate episode of this project.
The name is complicated.
Yeah, I'm going to stumble through it at the beginning of the next episode. There's no reason to do it now.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?